Sometimes I feel like running away. I'm not alone when I play and I play, I play. Someone will love me, someone will stay. I'm not alone when I play and I play and I play. I play and I play and I play. I play and I play and I play. And things better when I run away. I wrote that song when I was 5. I grew up in a small house in Jamaica, Queens, where there was a lot of fighting and screaming. I played and I played and I played to drown out the sound of my dad beating my mom. Music created a perfect world that I could control and where I felt safe. I started playing classical violin and piano when I was 3 years old. My teacher said I had a natural gift. They called me a superhero. I was playing in front of hundreds, even thousands of people before I was 7. Back then, I realized that since I was a prodigy child, it was a real big deal to my Filipino mom that the turbulence in my house remained in the house. It's an Asian heritage cliche, I know, but it would be a great dishonor if anyone knew my family was anything less than perfect. During that time, only 2 things made me feel completely safe: music and my Lola. Lola means grandma in the Filipino language of Tagalog. After my Lola had a stroke, she left the Philippines to stay with my mom in America. My Lola was my very best friend. She would watch me practice for hours, and I would watch her crochet a blanket she was making especially for me. And I was paying close attention because every once in a while she would scratch her head and accidentally stitch the hairs that would fall out of her head into the blanket. Hairs in my blanket was completely unacceptable. Just like everything else in my world, my blanket had to be perfect. I became the hair police. Nasaan, she would say. And when I pointed to the blanket like a little drill sergeant, my Lola would push it up against her eyes and pick out the hairs one by one until they were gone. Whenever the chaos in my house became too much, I would take this blanket, rub it up against my nose, and all would be perfect again in my world. And then when I was 7 years old, a singular event changed my life and created the high of highs that I would chase for a long time. I was playing Pablo Sarasate's Malagueña with my youth orchestra. And in the middle of the piece, I jumped off the step stage and I played into the audience. The crowd went wild. I walked up and down the center aisle playing my violin as the audience leaped to their feet, clapping in time. It was the happiest moment of my young life. Gigantic wings sprouted out of my back, and as the last note rang, I felt like a superhero. I went backstage, my eyes locked with my conductors, and I couldn't wait for my hugs and love and approval. But instead, he scolded me. He said I shamed the classical community. I felt heartbroken, homeless. My classical career was over. At the age of 7, I was washed up. So I started reflecting on that singular moment of great joy, and I asked myself, what made me fly? What made me a superhero when I played in the audience? And then I figured it out. I finally felt like I fit in. I felt love. So I spent most of my formative years trying to fit in and be loved, and it was a struggle. To please my perfectionist mom, I became the first, the best, the top, the winner, the president of everything. But to fit in with the other kids, I thought I had to downplay my achievements. It was an insane balancing act. But finally, I figured out just what to say and what not to say to my mom and to my peers to get the love I so desperately needed. And then my Lola died. It's 5:15. I've been up all night and I see you there. I see you there. There's nothing but silence. The tears left my eyes and I feel you there. I feel you there, watching over me. I sank into a deep depression and I was barely 13. From that dark place, I couldn't remember a single time when I was really happy, except when I was 7 in the aisle playing my violin. So I thought, how can I get that joy back? What made me a superhero? And then it came to me. That day, I jumped off the stage, pissed off my conductor, and I was a rebel. Screw fitting in, I know how to be happy. That nerd was my secret identity. My superhero self is a rock star. So after I graduated Harvard, yes, Mom, with honors, instead of following the traditional money-making career path to quickly pay off my massive student loans, I chose to live a hand-to-mouth existence, sleeping in a van and touring with my rock band. I became a rebel rocker. So any part of my history that had to do with academic achievements, I erased. Then came that long wished for showcase. I was being scouted by every major record label, and there was a line out the door with fans. Problem, I had a fever, a hacking cough, and I sounded like Darth Vader. I needed to fix myself fast, so I tried every known rock and roll cold remedy. Nighttime cold medicines, hot toddies, brandy. And right before I went on stage, double shot of whiskey. It was ugly. I was dragged off the stage after the first song. Hey, I'm not done yet. Where's my violin? Oh, there it is. Opportunity knocked, but I knocked back one too many, washed up again. So I drunk dialed my first guitar player, Alex Crank, who taught me everything I know about rock and roll, and he said, "Kid, if you drink more at rehearsals, you'll have a lot more tolerance at shows." And that's when I realized the Rock and Roll Rebel Handbook had been written for someone else. But if I'm not that, what am I? Broken. I found Lola's blanket and I pressed it up against my nose. So I look up from my blanket to the light in the sky and I see you there. I see you there. And you know that I miss you, but you'll always be mine. 'Cause I see you there. I know you're there, watching over me. And then I saw it. All my life, I've been rubbing my nose on the same part of the blanket. The part where Lola's hairs were still woven in. It was the few hairs that I missed that made the blanket feel special and safe. And then a memory flashed, and suddenly I remembered something about that concert when I was 7 that I completely blocked out of my mind. I had messed up. I was playing the pizzicato section and my bow slipped. I panicked, but instead of stopping, I leaped into the aisle and I played the rest of the song with a fire and passion that I never had before. This has always been my cool how I became a rocker story, but I'd always leave out the messing up part because I felt ashamed. But after my drunken showcase, while I was squeezing my Lola's blanket, I realized that messing up is the key to the superhero story. That's why I had an explosion of power and joy when I was 7. That's why I felt like a superhero. What do most superheroes have in common? They are human first, or humanity is what they covet most. Their human backstory is the jumping off point to the full realization of their power, yet being a flawed human is the part of my story that I was most ashamed to tell. So I finally figured out how to be a superhero. It's not about going through extreme lengths to please people or extreme lengths to rebel. It's about powerfully embracing every single part of who you are, shouting it out loud, and making it your own superhero fabulous. Wear your scars with pride. If you can't fix it, feature it. Had my childhood not been the way it was, I wouldn't be the musician that I am. Without messing up when I was 7, I wouldn't have that moment of audience connection which has profoundly shaped the way I perform. Without getting drunk at that major label showcase, I wouldn't have written my most anthemic song, Supergirl, and I wouldn't be here fessing up to messing up with you right now. It's like my Lola's blanket. Although I was the hair police, her hairs are what make the blanket beautiful and uniquely of her and for me. The other week, I had a conversation with my mom to tell her that I'd like to reveal some of the chaos of my childhood in my TED Talk. I wanted her blessing to share our family secrets with a few 100,000 people. She wasn't having it. Finally, I said, Mama, it'll set me free and it'll set you free. You've got nothing to be ashamed of. You're a survivor. You came to America with $20 in your pocket, Mama. Then there was this long pause. And I thought my senior citizen mother was going to turn into a ninja and kick my ass. But instead she said, you know, I didn't have a winter coat either. I wasn't sure I heard her. What, Mama? Well, when I came to America, I had $20 and no winter coat. We didn't have snow in the Philippines. She gave me her blessing. And then she told me more stories that she had kept hidden because she felt ashamed, because she felt that she had messed up. Yet in telling them, I saw the superhero wings sprout out of her back. And even now, as my mom bravely battles cancer, she still is my #1 superhero. But aren't we all superheroes right now, at this minute? Not when you find a job or get pregnant or lose 15 pounds, or when you make a living doing music or become CEO, or when you find your soulmate. We are superheroes with our flaws, our history, and imperfections right now. So I'm going to sing a little something, And I want you to find your superpower, let it fill up your body, shoot it out of your chest, and sing along with me. Are you ready? I said, Ted, are you ready? 1, 2, 1, 2. I am a superhero. I rise above strife. This is my superpower. I call it my life. Put your hands in the air, come on. I am a superhero. I create my own way. Yeah! I rise with my superpower. And I play and I play and I play. At times we all mess up. But my mess-ups are unique and perfect for my life. And your mess-ups are unique and perfect for your life. So take a look. Find those moments in your life that have been giving you your greatest pain, sadness, and shame, and own them. It might be hard, but avoiding, denying, running away clips our wings. From now on, let's tell our superhero stories, and then let's get messy. We'll play, and we'll play, and we'll play.